Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavlich, and away in the Grove, the star of the show, coming in hot.
Coming in
The
hot.
one and only Jesse. That's my Michigan accent. Hot, coming in hot.
You know what? You know what came in
Tell
hot
me.
today is the
Tell me.
Raiders season.
Yeah, I saw it.
What do you think about that?
Well, what does it mean anymore? You know, like you don't know anymore. Like you're watching this game now, and if you told me last year at the beginning of last year that Joe Flacco would be the quarterback of a team after sitting on the bench, literally eating popcorn by the television for 6 months, and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh, hey, Joe Flacco, we need you over here in Cleveland," and then they go to Baker Mayfield, who's basically his career was basically finished, and they go, here's a 3-year contract now to play for Tampa Bay. So you get what I'm getting at. It doesn't matter anymore. If you want to be great in this sport, you want to be great in boxing, you want to be great in any sport, you got to fight the best. You got to be against the best. If you're not getting the season ready to play against KC, you got no business playing.
Well, you lose one of the best running backs. Now what are you going to do? The Raiders.
Yeah, but we knew that was coming. See, so we knew that was coming. Now, where does he end up, though?
Well, he went to Green Bay today.
Green Bay, which is fine.
And they dropped Aaron Jones.
And they what?
Dropped Aaron Jones.
Yeah. But do I think that he'll do good in Green Bay? He'll do awesome in Green Bay.
Well, Green Bay they're putting something together now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Good for them. But you know the day of the running back?
Well, it's not it's short. It's not long.
It's not like it used to be. Remember back in the day, that's all you needed. You needed a few good wide receivers and a running back, and you're going to win the Super Bowl. Now it's not like that. It's all passing. You need a good back. You don't need a great back. You just need someone to buy you time, and that's what's happened. Like
Saquon Barkley goes to the enemy, goes to the Giants today, or goes to the Eagles today from the Giants.
Eagle. Now that's dirty. That's dirty.
Good.
And I love it. I love it though. It's dirty, but I love it.
I hate the Giants so much.
So do I. But it's I don't know, man. It's like the Knicks, the Giants. They all suck ass, and you would think in a city like New York that you'd get your shit together because that's a city that deserves some shit. Like even the Rangers, like the Rangers are coming around a little bit now. But when was the last time they won a cup? You know what I mean? It's like that's big city shit. You got that's
94.
With Messier.
Yeah, with Messier. I know, I agree. It's messed up, but it's New York's. Yeah, it's a tough market. It's one
tough. You want to play in the market, you want to excel in the market, but it doesn't do well. Like I don't know how you can be a Knicks fan, and I don't know how you can be even a Giants fan. Like it's disgusting at all levels. They
got somehow Eli Manning won a couple Super Bowls.
How, Jesse, explain that to me, please. I have no idea how that's even.
No one can actually explain it.
You
won
beat
the undefeated Patriots that year.
That's insane. Like I don't get it. I've never got it. It's weird. It's so weird. But he'll go down in history as winning 2 Super Bowls. Yeah. And you'll find out very few people have won 2 Super Bowls. In fact, I brought up that statistic the other day when everybody was ready to crown Mahomes as the GOAT. And I was trying to explain to people he's far off from the GOAT. He's far off from the GOAT. He's not even in a runner-up spot yet to the GOAT.
No.
So, no, he's not. Statistically, he's not. So you can. Hey, listen, man. Everybody can tell you that Mike Tyson's the greatest boxer of all time. He's not. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Statistically, he's not. So this is the real. What's unfortunate about the boxing world? You have someone like Floyd Mayweather that can actually go down to take Muhammad Ali's spot as the greatest of all time.
Okay, let me ask you this, who's better, Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan.
Okay, easy. But the stats point to LeBron more.
Because he's going to end up playing more. That's why. But that's the only reason why. Jordan, you can ask any current player or past player, if it was coming down, who would you have on your team? That Jordan's number 1 pick. It's not even, you can debate it all you want. You can debate it. We can, even me, I can debate it. And there's going to be, 47 morons out there that go, oh no, LeBron's the greatest. No, he's not the greatest. He's 1B, just like Tiger Woods. He's 1B. That's how it works. Mahomes isn't even 1B yet. He's like
But
C.
based on the stats.
Based on the stats, yeah, but you got to look
that's
at.
my point, though, because we can't base everything on the stats, because if that was
No,
the
we
case,
can't.
then LeBron would be ahead of MJ.
Yes, but you find very few people in the world that would say.
Well, I think a lot of people say it. I'm just making a point of like, okay, well, what's the other reasons then?
You're playing devil's advocate.
Well, a little bit, but also too, like, because I think people use the stat one, which I agree is a big part of it. But the majority of people would say MJ is the greatest of all time in the basketball
Won't even
world.
think about it. Just like you know who the greatest of all time is? When I ask you a question, like if I fired away 10 questions at you and you answered me immediately the answer, not you should have to think about the answer. The greatest, if you ask me right now, the greatest in 10 sports, I can tell you, like, without even thinking, who the greatest person, like this, wham, 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 wham. There's a reason for that, because they are the greatest. That's my opinion. Now, you can find multiple people out there, Skip Bayless and all these other people that might tell you something different. I believe that I get this from my father, who's turning 90 tomorrow, Jesse. 90.
That's pretty good.
Matt Pavlich, who's been on this podcast, Hall of Famer Matt Pavlich, has been on this podcast. He is turning 90 years old tomorrow. Big shout out to Pops. 90. You can call him on the phone, Jesse, and he's still like this. Click, 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 click.
For sure.
It's unbelievable. But I get that from my dad. My dad calls it like it is, regardless of his own personal feelings. I think I'm more like that on the Me and Jesse podcast. Of course, I have my favorites with the Red Wings and the Raiders and things like that. But when it really comes down to it, you got to call it like it is. Like you got to be fair to people. And I believe that in sports in general. And I believe that a lot of sports people are not fair. I believe it comes from, listen, our great sponsors, Backscape and Crystal Glass. They don't care if you and I have an opinion on something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like we don't have to agree with their opinion. I believe that 90% of sports people out there right now have an agenda where they can't say certain things because of that. And that's what I'm talking about. We have the luxury of not having to do that. We could say whatever we want on our own podcast. That's very clear. But at the same time, as I believe we're very fair when it comes down to calling it like it is. Just like when I was watching your Calgary Flames on the weekend, literally, I thought you guys were in the playoff hunt, and you guys are.
They blew it up.
No, but then they blew the whole thing up, and I'm like, why? You guys could have still made the playoffs, and they didn't. They blew it up, and I'm like, I don't even want to rub it.
Again, there was too many contracts coming up, so they're like, well, let's.
I know, but I don't want to rub it in with you, because I know, like, I'm not going to do that. But when I was watching it, I'm like, are you guys for real, man? Like, you guys are literally blowing this whole thing up when you still have an opportunity to make the playoffs.
No, this is actually proactive, because they're getting a new arena.
Well, yeah. Well, that's different, right?
And they're going to put a team together when that new arena opens.
I'm going to say this out loud for the first time ever. I literally went to Calgary a few months back. If I knew about Calgary before Edmonton, which I love with all my heart, I would have lived in Calgary.
Wow.
Because I couldn't believe the level of restaurants, lounge,
they're
shopping.
That way.
No, this was next level. This was next level. It's way more white collar than blue collar. And I'm going to start visiting there more now. Like, I'm going to go there like X amount of times a year now, because I ate at some restaurants that I was just like, what? Like, this is incredible. But as you can tell, I've been on a diet, so I'm down a little bit of weight right now. So.
That's good. Good for you.
Yeah.
Like, back to the stat thing. Like, I think that there is an argument to be made for stats, but then there's also things that you can't track stat wise, which is, leadership of the team and things like that. Now, I will say this. If LeBron didn't put the Cleveland Cavaliers on his back that one year when they had nobody else.
He did.
Which, that is it. And people argue
that gives him that gives him a lot of plug. That was a big thing.
It was a big thing for me. Like, it was like, let's see if we can do this, and he did it. Which again, you can't argue. And I think that 1A, 1B thing is accurate.
Yeah, just like in golf. I think people go, oh, Tiger Woods has the most wins, and I'm like, no, Sam Snead, he's tied with Sam Snead with the most wins, and it doesn't look like Tiger's ever going to win again. Well, that's not his fault.
But
that's not his fault.
We'll be right back with our guest. Going to talk all about golf.
All right.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavlich, away in the Grove, the big, sexy Jesse Martineau, and our special guest today, everybody. Oh, my God, we're so excited. PGA Teaching Pro. Oh, my God. Guys, I can't even, the list goes on and on and on. The one and only Katrina Kelly on the show today.
Hi, thanks for having me here, guys. I appreciate it.
Listen, Katrina, we needed some style on the show. We needed some class. We needed to up it. You know, like all these NFL guys, all these NHL guys, yeah, they're good, but they're not you. So that's the important part. We have you on the show today, and we are very excited. Is that not correct, Jesse? Is he in here?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Are you here? Or did you just float away on us?
Floated away. We're having a little technical difficulty. I just fixed it.
Float back. Float back.
Golfer. No.
Yes.
I don't believe.
And you know what's funny, Katrina? I have a dear friend from Kentucky.
No kidding.
Dear friend. Yes, he's been on this show before. He's an announcer for the Kentucky Derby.
Oh.
And yes, Kenny Rice. He's famous. And Kenny's
fantastic. Yes, of course I know Kenny Rice.
So Kenny Rice is a dear friend of mine. In fact, he used to be one of the announcers on the MFC for my fighting event. And Kenny used to come here all the time. And him and I he got me turned on to the horse racing in Kentucky. And then I messaged him today when you were on the show, and I said, Kenny, you're never going to guess where Katrina went to school. He goes, let me guess. No. Western Kentucky. And I said, and he gave me literally, I'm not joking, a speech, a literally 3-page thing on Western Kentucky about all the people that went there, about the whole history of Western Kentucky, that it's only 50 kilometers away from Nashville.
Yes.
Huh.
So please tell me how you go from that to where you are today, and how you went to school. Like, how did that whole process work?
Well, so I'm a Lexington, Kentucky native. And my dad worked for IBM, and IBM took us to Chicago, where my dad was working. And so we actually moved our family from Kentucky to Chicago. And then when I graduated high school, I missed my family so much that I decided I wanted to go back to Kentucky and be close to my family again. There was a time I thought I was going to play golf for Florida International, and it was either Florida or Kentucky. And I missed my old Kentucky home so much that I figured that would be the easiest transition when it came to moving away from my parents in Chicago.
Did you ever go to the Kentucky Derby?
17 times.
What?
Oh my God.
17 times. In fact, I've got some great pictures for you, Mark.
You got to listen.
Jesse.
I'm gonna go one day, because my friend Kenny calls it. He's like on the mic there, and he's invited me 100 times to go there. And I love the Kentucky Derby. I don't watch the Preakness. I don't watch any other one. I just watch the Derby. I don't mess around. I just watch the good shit. And I love the Kentucky Derby. And I knew when I asked you, you were gonna say like, oh, 2 or 3 times. You know, no, 17. Everybody.
Oh yeah, it's a big tradition in my family.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Is that
Yeah.
like, how big of a deal is it in Kentucky? Because obviously we see it on TV and stuff, but leading up to that, is it a big deal?
It is huge. In fact, where I'm from in Lexington, we have Keeneland, and Keeneland is, I feel like it's just as good as Churchill Downs, but not quite the crowd. I mean, the Queen of England came to Kentucky every single year. And, the Barnstable Brown Party is a very famous celebrity party that you need quite a few $100,000 just to even walk in that door.
Yeah.
It's a pretty special time for Kentuckians. And, if you, can appreciate the attraction of the tourism and the money that comes into the state at that time, it's a very big part of how Kentucky makes money up in Louisville there.
Oh, that's really
Katrina,
cool, though.
Katrina, what does the LPGA Tour need to do for us to all watch it?
Great question. I feel like in order for people to watch golf on TV more, not just LPGA, but PGA, we need to get people understanding the game more. When I first started golfing at the driving range, I never watched golf on TV, but when I started playing and enjoying it more, I would watch golf on TV, and it didn't actually matter to me whether it was male or female.
Yeah.
So I feel like in order to not just get LPGA out there, but PGA as well, we need to make sure that every person out there has an understanding and appreciation for the actual game of golf.
Yeah.
I would find too, like, in my thinking, is that it's not super accessible. It's pretty damn expensive for the average person just to pick up golf.
Yes.
It still is.
It definitely is.
It is.
It still is. It still is. We can all pretend. I love when I see Tiger doing stuff in the inner city. It's great. I could do the same thing. I can shoot a video and bring in 47 pairs, 47 golf clubs and say to everybody, hey, I'm helping out the youth in the inner city. Listen to me when I tell you this. I listen, I don't know if you know this, Katrina. I grew up in a very nice area, and that was my goal as a kid. I wanted to be a professional golfer. And what happened, yes, it's a true story. I got in trouble in grade school. I almost got kicked out of class all the time for designing golf courses on my books. And so, because you know why? When I grew up as a kid, I grew up in a very violent household. And what happened was golf gave me a place to go that I could disappear. And I disappeared for 10 hours, 12 hours a day hitting golf balls. And literally it saved my life. My Uncle Marty, who's 96 years old, still alive. He implored me to play golf for the sole purpose of never to be a pro, but to use it for relationships with people. And he couldn't have been more right. I made more great relationships on the golf course than anywhere else in my life. When you can literally sit in a golf cart with someone for 4 hours and kind of discuss things and know who someone really is. There's no game in the world that you can do that like golf.
Absolutely. And it's really transitioning into more of a life skill than anything else, similar to swimming. Having that ability to interact socially on a golf course is so widespread now that I think a lot of people view it as more of a life skill for work and for social hours, as opposed to just a leisurely sport.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we make it more affordable for everybody moving forward? Meaning, like, okay, not everybody's going to join the private golf course, but let's get people involved in, like, going to the range, at least to get that started, that process of learning the game of golf, and then, eventually getting to the golf course, and I think you're the person that probably can make more sense of it than any of us.
Yeah. I mean, even when I was growing up, it was a very expensive sport, and my parents, they were upper middle class, but they spent a lot of money on my sister and I to, get us instruction. And I guess as an American, it's a bit different because the allure of a scholarship is always very promising.
That's right. Yeah.
And so my parents, I think, gambled correctly, and it helped my sister and I pay for our college. But, getting it accessible to everybody, as golf professionals, we need to create initiatives to get kids out there. It's really junior golfers that we need golfing.
Yeah, I do.
Because those are the ones that are going to grow with the game. And those are the ones that need the most support right now. So I think as golf professionals and instructors and coaches, we need to create more initiatives to get kids out on the course, whether it be, addressing this with our course owners, the management staff and professionals alike. I think we definitely need to do more.
You know, that when I was growing up, Katrina, I'm not even joking. Golf saved my life as a kid, like literally saved my life. And the thing that I noticed was a big shout out to Roseland Golf and Country Club in Windsor, Ontario, because that's where I played. And they encouraged us so much. Like it was like I was on the junior tour, and it was crazy because I wasn't a kid that came up with golf. It was like golf came up with me. Like I had no choice. I went and played golf, and literally it was like all the members were so cool, and they were like, yeah, Mark, like let's go to the range together, and let's, like, everybody embraced us. It wasn't like they were shooing away the juniors. They were embracing the juniors. Big shout out to Roseland Golf and Country Club in Windsor, because it was crazy how they were great with us. And literally I haven't seen that. Like I've been away from golf for 20 years and I just came back recently. And what I've seen, the changes of golf, some I love and some I can't stand, because I was playing this summer, and I literally was with people, and all of a sudden the people we're playing with, they start smoking weed. They start putting music on. I'm like, where am I right now? Because that's not how I play golf. And I just, the whole music, smoking weed thing, I'm like, I'm just not down. I'm like, I play it like you're on tour. That's how I play. Yeah.
Let me ask you.
Well, I mean, I like to joke around that, I grew up with a bunch of really good golfers that were big pot smokers. I think smoking weed is a big part of lowering your heart rate. And
yeah, I guess
that's needed to concentrate for 4.5 hours. Like, even people don't realize, like, smoking, dipping was all a huge part of golf. And it 100%. Still is. I mean, Brooks Koepka, he's not shy to show you that big dip in his mouth.
He's not.
But that's not brand new. Like, the media does a great job hiding it.
Mm-hmm. They do.
If you saw a live tournament in the 90s, you saw Bob Duvall smoke an entire pack of cigarettes in a matter of 9 holes. And Payne Stewart, one of the people that people didn't realize was a big chain smoker on the golf course.
I didn't know that.
So
I went to the U.S. Open in the 90s at Oakland Hills in Detroit.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And my Uncle Marty, love him. He got his clubhouse passes.
Yeah.
And I was in shock when I saw Greg Norman for the first time, and he was, smashed, like annihilated. And there was a lot of people that were smoking that I never thought smoked. And, because you had this vision of how it was. And what I keep forgetting is they're real people just like everybody else. They just play golf better than everybody else, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Do you love golf?
Yes, for many reasons.
Why the pause? Why the pause? It's not a trick question. It's not a trick question.
It kind of
I think it's just my sore throat.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just my sore throat. No, I do love golf. Golf has given me so much. I think I would be, remiss to say that I didn't love it, for all that it's, shaped my life in so many ways. I love the actual game. I think it's such a challenge. It's an ideal sport for me because I love challenging myself in an individual environment. It was fun playing on teams in high school and college, but when you get to be out there on your own and competing on your own, it's a really cool experience that, I'd never had prior to golf.
Right.
Could have you been successful on the LPGA Tour if things worked out different?
Oh, great question. You know what? I had all the support to be successful on the LPGA Tour. My parents, my sponsors, my family members that helped pay the way. But, if I am really honest with you, I needed way better instruction back in the day.
Wow.
We just didn't have it.
Wow.
Instruction nowadays is infinitely better.
Mm-hmm.
Biomechanics, kinesiology, and sports science has really paved the way for people to be more successful in golf in 2024. But I'm not trying to discredit any of my instructors. I know they did the best they could for me growing up, but it wasn't enough. My hips don't leverage properly like I would have needed to be a naturally successful athlete. I had to train it over time. And so I look back on people that were naturally great golfers back in the day. And one of these days I'll get to prove why I think there was a difference between naturally great golfers and just everyday golfers that were working hard to be great golfers. But you know what? I needed exceptional training that I received from Carl Rubito later in my life. And if I had had Carl Rubito as my instructor growing up, 100% I would have competed professionally at the LPGA.
What's the lowest score you ever shot?
Oh, I had a 68 with a double eagle.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, 68 with a double eagle. That was my lowest score ever.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
And now being what level of teaching professional you are, we're going to go into this area too, because as a female, what I noticed was, see, I know you're really good. And I know the level of, I know that for a fact. I do my research, right? And I know that what you were talking about earlier, most people don't even know what you're talking about, because a lot of golf pros that have been around for a long time haven't gone down that road that you've gone down. And regardless if you're female or male, there's no relevancy when it comes to being great at a game. Zero. So I know that for a fact. There's zero relevancy to if a female's teaching you or if a male's teaching you, no relevancy whatsoever. And I also know this for a fact, that a lot of people that, like, if Tiger Woods decided tomorrow to be a golf pro to teach people, he'd probably be horrible at it. He's probably one of the greatest golfers of all time, but that doesn't translate over to being a great teacher. And
Correct,
I've seen that in multiple sports where the greatest trainers in the world in boxing never even boxed before. But they're the greatest trainers in boxing. But you've seen Wayne Gretzky, he tried to be a coach in hockey and he was horrendous, but he was the best hockey player of all time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is the reality of it. And I know what level you're on. Why are we going to not know? Why don't we know more about you before? Because it's my goal now for everybody to know who you are. It's my goal for everybody to know your level. I can't stand seeing something that's so good not being known. And that's you.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
No, it's true. I Jesse knows I don't have to lie ever on my own podcast. In fact, I've told people the opposite, that they're super overrated, that, I don't know, but I know you have it in you. And the thing I like about you too is the way you can break it down. You're breaking it down for people, whether you're a beginner or you're advanced.
Yeah.
People don't do that.
No. And, I find that where I stand out from other instructors is I create the blueprint of the golf swing for students. So many people just play golf blindly. High-level players too. I think I'm supposed to do this. I think I'm supposed to come down like this. That is a very unprepared way to make a consistent golf swing. And so my goal in the first 2 hours with every single student of mine is to ensure that they know the exact parameters on how to create a backswing and how to come back down in the downswing. And really, golf is one of the easiest sports you're going to play. Because there's no moving ball variable. You just have to return back to the same spot.
That's right.
Over and over again.
Yeah. I never looked at it what you just said. Nothing's moving. It should be easier.
If I can be a golf pro, anybody can. And like I said, I was extremely fortunate to come across Carl Rubito, because I could never, ever, ever sit in front of you guys and explain the golf swing the way that I can, understand it the way that I can, and break it down the way that I can. So it is, believe it or not, there's no mystique behind golf when you apply sports science to it.
Yes.
We used to think it was just this very difficult sport and anybody that was great at it was an anomaly. But when you really put it to the test, sports science explains the golf swing so beautifully, and it's seamless. It really is.
Has the new equipment, you know what? I know something here because I stopped playing for 20 years. And
Yeah.
when I stopped playing, I was in the I shoot like regularly in the high 70s. And I shoot in the high 70s without even really much like thought process. I don't take like I'm weird when it comes to golf because I took lessons when I was a kid, figured out that I'm just gonna do what I like, I'm gonna pay attention to what I do. My swing is shorter now, way shorter, and
Yeah.
not a lot of movement. So you people look at it and you go, wait a second, this guy he used to play golf. That's what everybody says. When I came back to golf, now I'm having a hard time breaking 80. I shoot in the mid 80s, but I'll get on a par 5 that's 550 yards and I'll hit driver 5-iron 10 feet away from the hole. And you say to yourself, why the hell how did he just, a guy that shoots in the low 80s doesn't do that, right? But I still have the ability to do those type of things. Now, what I've learned is now I've gone into this weird stretching. I'm a stretching fanatic because my hips don't move the way they used to. My backswing doesn't move the way it's, my rotation doesn't move. So there's a lot of things. So my obsession has become stretching. Like I stretch fanatically. So that helps my golf game. Now, if you see me before I go golfing, sometimes I bring out this pole that collapses and I literally start stretching. I won't hit one golf ball, and I have a 50-yard hole in my backyard, which you will be official member of this year that you can come at any time to use.
I look forward to that.
You will take advantage of it. The second you see it, you'll be a VIP member. You'll be the first female VIP member. And you will come and say, Mark, I'm having a stressful day. And you say, Mark, I like martinis. They'll be there waiting for you. And then I'm working in my place, right?
Beautiful.
So unless you invite me to play with you, I will never play with the members at my own course. Jesse can attest to that.
I love it.
So what are some of the things that, like, you know, okay, let's talk to most people, because most people that golf are like me, and you might have done it more and now you don't do it as much. What are like the things that you could tell us right off the bat to say, okay, this will fix you a little bit just by doing these 3 simple things?
Really, posture and balance are everything. Posture, just like in any sport, right? You know, I always make the analogy like to baseball, because growing up, baseball was my first sport. And you see somebody step up to the plate and they look like this. And the first thing you're going to do if you're playing in the infield is you're going to move in, because you know that person has no idea what they're doing. Like they step up, that terrible posture clearly tells you they're not going to hit that ball out of the park. So you judge them just based on their posture right out the gate. You haven't seen them swing the bat yet. You judge them on their posture. But you see that baseball player step up and he's got his elbow up and he's got his weight on his back foot. You know that you're not moving in on the infield on him. That would be very disrespectful. So I think just like baseball and golf are similar, hockey's similar. You got to have great balance. You got to have great posture. Any sport relies heavily on posture. So for me, as an instructor, it is imperative that I get all my students in an understanding of what great posture is in golf. Obviously, your grip is super important. If you've got your hands twisted around, you're not going to be able to square up that club face. And really, those are your 2 key fundamentals to just ensuring that you're going to get started and have a great opportunity of connecting with the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds easy.
It is. I promise you, Jesse. I will make you a great golfer in no time. I promise.
You will laugh. You will laugh. Jesse Martineau, he pretends like he's just some bearded guy and he's like super famous and he's this. But you know what's funny about Jesse? Dropped a hole in 1 during the Lob Wedge Classic.
Good hands. Good hands.
Yeah, he just has that natural. You know, he grew up in BC, right? So these guys that grew up in BC, they play golf just because, you know, they came in at the pot smoking BC era where they're like, oh, let's go smoke a bag of weed and play 18 holes of golf, you know?
Right?
And Jesse was part of that era. And literally, he came in my backyard. He literally had a broken ankle with a brace on it and literally swings the club. I'm like, are you for real, bro? Like you want to, like you just swing it so naturally, like,
Yeah.
that Bubba Watson kind of like just whap, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys both grew up playing hockey.
No,
right?
I didn't.
No, Jesse didn't.
Oh, so
No.
Jesse didn't. Okay.
No.
What sports did you grow up playing
Baseball.
then, Jesse?
Baseball.
Okay. So yeah, the
Yeah.
understanding a good hand rotation and
Yeah.
I mean, really
the problem
playing great
was
golf
when my
experience.
golf swing was the best, my baseball swing went to shit. And then when my baseball swing was the best, my golf swing went to shit.
You
Explain
can't have
that one.
both.
You can't have
You
both. Is
cannot.
that true?
No.
Can't have both. Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't
But
see many. You see a lot of hockey players playing golf. You don't see a lot of baseball players playing golf.
No, there's a good reason for it.
Wow,
Too.
I was always
Yeah.
wondering if it was just me, but it was exactly what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about Scotty Scheffler, though. Scotty Scheffler, greatest player in the game right now, and he has the worst balance I've ever seen. I watched it in slow motion yesterday, and his ankle looks like they were going to break. Like when he was twisting,
No.
he falls off the ball. Like I'm fanatical. Like I literally like people. Like when I hit balls in my backyard, people go, "Oh, how many hole in ones do you have, Mark?" I go like 30 hole in ones.
Crazy.
And
Yeah.
people are like, 30, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah, I hit 9,000 balls. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can hit balls like just like this, like nonstop. My
But he
brain
would be
works
one
that
of the
way.
anomalies.
Yeah,
Not
it's
you,
just like whap,
Scheffler.
whap, whap, whap.
Not
I
you.
just hit balls.
You're regular. But
Yes, I'm regular.
yeah, you're regular. But Scheffler isn't.
No, but that's what I'm saying. He has great swing. Everything's great until impact. And he literally, I've seen him 100 times fall off the ball, like literally fall off the ball. His ankles are pointed in every direction. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
how does this guy do this? But he is right now, I believe he's the greatest golfer on the planet right now.
He's playing amazing golf. He really is. He has what, every single player on TV has that everybody else doesn't is amazing hands and amazing tempo and rhythm.
Yeah.
So for him to get his hands in that spot every single time, that's incredible timing. That's rhythm, which is highly underrated for high level golfers. Great tempo, great rhythm, and hands like surgeons will always separate professionals on TV from the rest of us.
And so why does it look like, you remember Jim Furyk's swing?
Oh,
Yeah.
That was horrendous looking.
Oh,
Like it looked
I
so
love that swing.
unnatural.
Oh, I hate-
I mean, it's
hated it.
amazing, but
hated
it
it.
looks so weird compared to everything else you see. So some guys just figure out a different way.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is Jim Furyk's dad was a golf pro too. He was a golf instructor.
Wow.
So, I mean, if it's not broke, maybe don't fix, right?
I guess. But I mean, that's part of the
top
thing.
three
though.
best swings. Top three best swings in the world ever.
Rory McIlroy,
Wow.
Brooks Koepka's downswing.
Downswing. Yeah.
Brooks Koepka's downswing is unbelievably beautiful. Like
Yeah, it is.
just the
I agree.
ideal amount of lateral hip movement. Rory McIlroy, Brooks Koepka's downswing, and Justin Rose. Always one of my favorite golf swings.
Oh, Justin Rose. Yeah. Pick that one out from the
Beautiful
sky.
swing.
Yeah.
Why him?
Justin Rose, well, when I was studying biomechanics back in the day, like I was looking for what is the prettiest golf swing. Justin Rose always hit the mark. He had amazing understanding of where his weight had to be in the transition from the top of his downswing top of his swing to the bottom of his swing. He would just create this beautiful tight coil that was repeatable every single time. He just looked to me the most clean when it came to mechanics of all the golf swings I used to look at. Lee Westwood was another one that I loved back in the day.
Yeah.
And both English guys,
Yeah.
something's going on in England at the time to create these gorgeous golf swings. You've got Rory. The best American swing I can think of growing up, like that I've always appreciated was Brooks Koepka lately. Like Brooks Koepka to me is just unbelievable power.
Yeah.
When I grew up, I emulated everything Jack Nicklaus. Everything. Like everything. Like when I was playing golf, I studied him. I I worshipped him. And the time I went to the US Open in Oakland Hills, it was the first time he didn't make the cut. And I was
really?
there. I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
I clubhouse passes. I'm going to meet Jack. And literally he didn't make the cut that year. And I was just like, oh man, that was the worst. But
Yeah.
he was the guy I watched. I watched everything he did, just the way he did putting, driving the ball, everything. I was just like obsessed with what he was doing. And lately I've been obsessed with Gary Player. Now,
Smooth,
Gary,
yeah.
just the way Gary Player made working out sexy before anybody else worked out in golf. No one worked out in golf back in the day. Gary Player was the first one that looked like Popeye the Sailor Man. He took his shirt off. Everybody went, what the hell? That guy's a golfer? Because he was the only guy at that time that was working out.
Yeah, he was always a big fitness guy, and
that's right.
A good pioneer for golf moving into a better fitness area. So yeah, no, I love Gary Player. He's fun to watch.
Okay, so what about equipment? Does it matter?
Equipment matters. Yeah, absolutely. We've maxed out driver heads though for a long time.
100%.
Like COR has been maxed for over almost 20. I want to say over 20 years now. We've maxed that. We've maxed the size of the club head. It can't get any bigger. So drivers are really done at this point. You can shift weight around all you want. It's great that we've got interchangeable shafts. We've got, adjustments to the degree of club head. That's wonderful. But, when it comes to how do you make a club even better now, it's down to the shaft, and that's all feel preference and kick point at some point that matches with the individual player. But equipment makes a difference. Absolutely. And you can get stuck right into that rabbit hole of finding the perfect equipment. Exactly. And it's extremely costly.
Yeah. Nowadays. So how do you do it? How do you find it? Like, again, like I think most people, there's some people that really are into golf that watch, but a lot of people are kind of in that, summer rolls around and we go a few times kind of thing, but also don't want to lug around the 42-year-old clubs that they have from the garage. So what do you get next? Because or you could be like Mark and spend like $12,000 on a set of clubs.
No, it's crazy though. When I came back in golf, I didn't know, like I was naive. Like I didn't know all this new stuff was around. And when I went to go hit, the guy said, bring your old clubs. And I said, I have Titleist DCI irons that are like so old. And
I remember those.
So I hit the 7-iron, and the 7-iron goes 152. And he says, Mark, let's try. Now I play with Titleist T400s with graphite shafts. So good. I'm a weirdo. I went, how can I hit the ball farther with every way possible? I take the same 7-iron on the TrackMan at the place. I hit it 180. And I said, bro, there's something wrong with your TrackMan. He goes, no, Mark, that's how the game is now. I go, what do you mean that's how the game is now? T400 7-iron, 180 yards. That is not correct. That's bananas. I hit a 7-iron, 150. That's it. End of story.
Yeah.
Now I hit a 7-iron if I like. Well, I don't do it, but I can hit it 180 yards.
Well, so what's happened, Mark, is they've strong lofted all clubs now, right? We used to have 48-degree pitching wedges. Now they're 42 degrees in some brands.
It's nuts.
Wild. And they've lowered the center of gravity.
You're right.
To get the ball up in the air still and make it go further. So, if you're playing with irons from, the 90s, there's nothing wrong with those irons. Like cast metal is still cast metal, right? But it's the strong lofting of irons now combined with the adjustment of the center of gravity, right?
Listen, the only thing different now is you need to know how to putt and chip. That's one thing you still have to do. And you have to learn how to keep the ball in the fairway. We get it all. But when I now hit a burner, tailor-made driver off the tee, I don't even look sometimes. I'm like talking to people and I'm hitting the ball. And it literally, without even effort, goes 160 yards right down the middle.
Yeah.
With that club. I line up correctly, no problem. I do all that kind of stuff. But I look at it and I'm saying to myself, no, something's not right. And now I literally have, this is no joke, I have 4 to 5 wedges in my bag.
Good.
because I now practice with that nonstop. Now I have the new 69-degree one for the back, and then I have
Right.
60, 54, all the Volkey wedges, all of them. And
Yeah.
I literally practice now that distance religiously. Like I just practice
Yeah.
that distance, and I practice driving the ball. That's it. And then of course, what I've realized now, people don't practice putting. And I did a survey and I asked people, how many people, I go to the golf course, I walk around, I'm like, hey, you practice putting? No. You practice putting? No, never. You know, they drop 3 balls down before they go out and play, and they practice there. That's something I religiously practice now. And I realize what a difference that's made in my game by eliminating 3 putting.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, people don't realize when Tiger Woods was number 1 in the world, he was number 1 in putting and sand saves.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. Like, I mean, he
Isn't that
was
crazy?
putting and sand saves, right? Like, putting will always be the priority in golf, right? But I've come to learn over the years, which is actually really fascinating to me. We used to say drive for show, putt for dough, right? Pretty common phrase we've used over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But statistics have shown now that it's not drive for show, putt for dough. It's proximity to the pin on your approach shot.
Yeah.
So if you're,
Huh.
4 feet away on your approach shot, well, the chances of you putting that one putt significantly increase.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you're not making a green in regulation, if you're having to rely on amazing wedge play, the scores aren't going to really drop for you. So learning how to dial in your irons and get the ball as close to the pin on that approach shot is always going to be statistically now what we work so hard to do to play great golf.
Wow, there's a lot going on there. I should unleash my ADHD brain on golf again, maybe.
But it goes to show that putting is still what's going to separate the PGA Tour from the Corn Ferry Tour. It's the number of putts you're making. Absolutely. Like Tiger was the best putter we ever saw for the
100%,
longest time.
100%. I remember there was a time when he went from 8 feet in, and how many in a row he made. It's like, it'll never be done again in our lifetime. And it's literally, I played Blackhawk last year and I shot 81 and I hit 14 greens in regulation. That makes no sense whatsoever. That's when I started practice putting religiously.
Yeah.
So I have, whose machine do I have down here? I have, what's the one? Paulina Gretzky. Help me, someone. Paulina
Dustin Johnson.
Dustin Johnson. Yeah,
Oh.
his putting thing down here, Dustin Johnson, and literally I practice it every day. And I practice my putting, and I go back and I'm like, oh, all of a sudden people go, oh, you're putting so much better, Mark. I'm like, yeah, guess what, everybody? You want to be good at anything, you have to practice. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, you want to be a good, you want to be a good pickleball player, you have to practice. You want to be a good golfer, you have to practice. So that starts with your putting and your chipping and everything else, not just going to the range and smashing balls. Like, there's more to it.
Absolutely. It's always going to be the repetitions in, right?
Correct.
And just learning what your body needs to do, good body intuition.
Well, I mean, there's a lot there. You guys make it sound so easy, but I know it's not.
Yeah, it's not easy. No, that's not. You know, it's funny.
Well, no, she said it was easy.
But Katrina, you know what's weird sometimes? When I'm practicing, and sometimes I'm trying to work on certain things, I never shanked the ball in my entire life until now.
Okay.
So when I'm practicing, I'm like trying to focus on, and I'm not a person that puts like 400 things in their head. Once I put my hand on the club, once I get over top of the ball, that's it. There's no more going through my head. It's whap. Stay over. My big thing is staying over the ball longer. That's my big thing that I work on.
Yeah.
Stay over the ball, stay over the ball, stay over the ball. And I literally, sometimes when I practice, you would be like, whoa, what was that coming down? You know, like I would literally shank a few, like while I'm practicing. It's very bizarre, but it's a thing now that it happens. Yeah.
Well, I think you've identified one of the number one issues. Like I know a lot of people assume that I teach majority women, but I actually teach majority men. And one of the most common things I see for my male students, you know, whether they're high level or starting out, is because of the narrow hip structure for guys, their ability to keep their hips back and upwards, essentially in a true squatting position, is a challenge. And so staying in your posture for guys will always be a struggle. So it was really good that you said, Mark, I'm trying to stay over that ball longer, which means you're trying to stay in your posture longer. I think that's what I'm trying to kind of get from that.
Same with putting. Same with putting. I'm trying to like keep my head down longer and like stop lifting my head quicker, and it seems to be working. So it's like this ongoing like teaching stuff. But I can't wait because there's something special opening up in Stony Plain, which is near Jesse, and you're going to be the head professional there. And I'm going to bring it up on this podcast because I want people to come and visit you, because I'm betting $1 that you can change people's lives when it comes to golf. And it's going to be called Golf Biz Canada, and it's in Stony Plain, Alberta, everybody. So if you're in that vicinity, Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, Edmonton, you will be able to see Katrina up close and personal at Golf Biz Canada, where she will be the head professional at, which is probably the smartest choice they made, because there was a lot of people they could have picked from. They picked you, which was smart. I love smart. When I see smart things happen, I'm like, that was smart. And literally, she's going to help people, not just with hitting the ball, but there's a putting green there. There's a bunch of trackmen there. There's all these type of things there. And can you speak about that, Katrina?
Yeah. So Parkland County is super pumped to receive this wonderful golf facility. It's got the ability to have golfers playing golf all year round. Yeah. We have obviously weather that permits us from playing golf outdoors pretty much half the year. And Golf Biz allows golfers to keep working on their game, enjoying the game, playing courses from all over the world in a warm, comfortable environment. And so the opening of this facility is exceptional because I just don't think there's another one like that out there right now. There's billiards tables, ping pong tables, a workout facility, boardroom for professionals to bring their clients and meet and engage with their clients and customers with. So to have, and then there's also a restaurant patio. It's just such an amazing place that pulls together so many features that we enjoy about golf. And so Parkland County, I mean, gosh, couldn't have picked a better spot to have this amazing new place.
And you're going to be teaching there you're going to be teaching there too. So people, if they want to get a hold of you, they'll be able to go to golfbiz.com, reach out there, and golfbizcanada.com, excuse me.
Yep.
And you'll be able to reach out to Katrina on there for private lessons.
You got it.
Oh, that's
awesome.
I'm
looking forward to it. It'll be really exciting.
Well, I'm going to be there you can show me some things. Probably everything.
I will,
Jesse. I'm just
yeah.
go in there
We'll get you on the simulators. I mean, we have TrackMan simulators. They're pretty much the best in the business and the gold standard of virtual simulators. So
cool.
You won't have to worry if, it's not accurate enough for you. It's pretty much as accurate as it gets. So it's pretty cool.
Maybe we can fudge that a bit. Is there like a little switch we can do to make me like a little bit?
No, it's going to show me everything.
Yeah, no fudging.
No telling me you hit the ball 300 yards when it's only going 240.
Oh, can we stop that too, Katrina? Everywhere I go, I'm bumping into these young kids telling me, oh yeah, I hit the ball 300 yards, and that's all they talk about. And I'm like, what's your shoot, kid? And he's like, oh, 89. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. Like, you hit the ball 300 yards. Like, what is this? I call it the big dick contest. Everybody's trying to wave their dink out. They're like, oh yeah, I want to score well. But everywhere I go with people, that's the big thing now on the golf course. Whether I go anywhere I go, that's all they're talking about is how you go to a hockey game and guys are talking about golf and they're only talking about how far they hit the ball.
Yeah, I know. It's everybody wants to be a long drive hitter.
That's right.
But I mean, being a long drive hitter is a challenge. The hardest club in your bag to hit, really, consistently.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. What club should I get?
Oh, great question, Jesse.
6'2".
So you want to get brand new irons, driver,
everything,
3-wood, like the whole deal?
The whole thing.
He can afford it. He can afford it.
So I'm not sponsored by any club company right now. So I get the opportunity to play whatever feels best to me.
Okay.
And that's going to vary from whatever feels best to you. So for me personally, I love ping irons. I've been playing ping irons ever since I got off staff with Cleveland, and I could choose what I wanted. TaylorMade drivers are, it's in my head. I love a TaylorMade driver. I love Titleist wedges and I love Scotty Cameron putters. You can't convince me otherwise. I'm
Yeah.
sold. I've been sold on Scotty Cameron since Scotty Cameron first came out. Since I saw
Wow.
Tiger Woods win with a Titleist Trillium Newport back in the day. It's Titleist just to me will always be your premier putter wedge company. They make amazing irons and their drivers are great too. I play Tour Edge hybrids and a Tour Edge Fairywood, which a lot of people are like, really? What's Tour Edge? But Tour Edge is a brand that is based out of Chicago, and they have incredible equipment. And there was a time when I couldn't hit a 3-wood, and I tried every 3-wood I could, and it was the Tour Edge Exotic that I was just cranking. And so that's and they only offered me a tiny professional discount, but I still loved it so much that I paid the money for it. And so with that being said, don't pigeonhole yourself to just one brand. They all feel different in different regards. For me personally, I've never been able to play TaylorMade irons. I don't know why, just never have. But I have some friends of mine, some colleagues that love TaylorMade irons and really couldn't imagine playing another brand. So the cool thing is they all have different feel, and feel is so important.
Right.
Sound, feel. Does it feel good to you? Does it sound good to you? Lately, PXG has really won my heart.
Wow.
I want to not convert because they're I've just been very impressed with everything PXG I've tried. And that is a very subjective opinion. So,
what's crazy? This is a true story, Katrina. Bob Parsons, who owned GoDaddy, now PXG Golf. I was on a blog one time and I was making fun of him because he was sponsoring all the girls on the LPGA Tour that basically couldn't even break 90. You know what I mean? But they all looked fantastic. So I made fun of him one day on a thing going, Bob, why don't you sponsor the girls that actually play the weekend? You know what I mean? Like that would make more sense. And he goes, Mark, you mind your own business. I sponsor just the hot girls and I don't care about the weekend. I'm not joking. This is a true story. The next day I hear ding dong. I go to my door. There's a GoDaddy golf bag with my name on it at the front door of my house from Bob Parsons, the owner of GoDaddy, now the owner of PXG.
Wow, that's cool.
I still have the bag, but it was funny because I was like, why wouldn't you want to sponsor people, get the extra 2 days, And he's like, no, I just sponsor the hot chicks. I don't care if they break 100, and that was his mentality, but he's now the owner of PXG.
Oh, wow. He's got, I mean, the guy can market, so he knows
he can market. He can market.
Crazy.
He sure can.
That's a cool story. I like that. That's funny.
I'll never throw that bag. I don't use it, but I'll never throw it out.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't. I'd keep that too.
Yeah.
Well, Katrina, we want to thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for having me. I was so excited to be on here today.
Can you imagine? That's how quick it goes when you bring in A+ people like this, like that, just like that. A+ people. It goes like that.
It just keeps
on rolling. They go by fast. Yeah.
That's what happens. But excited to learn some golf more.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to get you out there, Jesse. We'll get you golfing.
And please, everybody, Katrina on all social media, you go to Katrina Kelly Golf and you can find her. Google. We'll put on our Facebook page. We'll of course we always put the YouTube link, but after when the show keeps airing after, we'll put all her social media links so you can get a hold of Katrina and start learning. Stop being a hacker, and you can start learning how to be a decent golfer. Okay, speed up the pace of play.
Absolutely.
Jeez. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for having me on the show. I really love watching your guys' show and listening to it. So keep up the good work.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Katrina.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Katrina.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Katrina Kelly, everybody, PGA golf professional, teaching professional. And, that was the first, having a professional golfer on the show.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
PXG.
Fantastic guest.
Okay. I might have to buy some clubs.
PXG is cool because they are like the new kids on the block telling everybody to F off.
Yeah, that's what I like. I wonder if they come in fluorescent orange because I want that
That's
too.
Jesse Martineau coming in strong, man.
Yeah.
Jesse, no joke, man. You had a legit golf swing. When I saw you, I thought you were kidding. But when you came and played in the Lob Wedge Classic, you're legit. Like you could play.
Well, I used to golf a lot, but
yeah,
that was
you could tell.
a long time ago.
Yeah. But you know what's great about it now, Jesse? You come and hit balls in my backyard. You go to the driving range. You go to Golf Biz. You play once a week because you're busy. You got shit to do. I can't. The only reason why I don't join a private golf course is because I can't play 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I can't even play 4 days a week. But I can practice an hour here, an hour there. I can't commit to golfing. If I could even commit to 3 times a week golfing, I would join a private golf course.
Yeah,
I can't.
For sure.
I can't. I can golf once a week.
Yeah.
I golf once a week and I practice, 3-4 times a week. So that's how I enjoy it.
And that's part of the problem. It does take a lot of time.
It does. It does.
But whatever. I mean, people are into it. And obviously here we take advantage of it when it turns nice enough to golf.
Well, we live in Alberta, Canada. It's golf is insane. Like people, the second that snow melts, it's on. And everybody in Alberta loves golfing. Canada in general loves golfing, but because we're in our homes for 6 months out of the year, people just get so like, let's get out there and golf.
Makes sense. Well,
yeah, it does.
Thanks to our sponsors, Crystal Glass and Backscape, for another episode.
100%.
Yeah. And thanks, Katrina, so much for joining us tonight. And hey, check out Golf Biz. How do I say this? GolfBizCanada.com. And hey, maybe you'll see me and Mark there hitting some of those virtual courses.
You probably will.
Yeah, why not? Drinking a cocktail.
Smashing back a few pints while we're there too.
Absolutely. That's my kind of jam.
Sounds like fun to me.
All right. Well, other than that, I guess that's it.
That's it, buddy.
All right. Well, that's Mark Pavlich. I'm Jesse Martineau. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/meandjesse.